Great. So I won't say any more about that, but I want to look now at how we can actually practice developing awareness in meditation. And I'm going to look at a little sort of tool, a little technique that we can apply in the mindfulness of breathing meditation practice. And that's breadth and focus. Some of you might have come across this before, breadth and focus. So breadth and focus. This is looking at how to apply body awareness in the mindfulness of breathing practice. So, we can actually, with our attention, we can actually have a broader attention. We can allow our awareness to be to take in more of our experience. So we can have a breadth in our experience, and we can also have a focal point as well. So in the mindfulness of breathing practice, a really good way to practice this is we can stay in the body and we can include quite a lot of body awareness in our experience. And then we lightly place some attention on the breath. So that's the focal point. So breath and focus. And a really helpful image is a sort of cone shape. So if you can imagine a cone or a triangle, if you want to do it in 2D, we can have a broad awareness at base in the body, and the tip of the cone is the breath. And what I recommend is you just keep a little bit, very light awareness in the breath. Give that a go. What's great about this is with breath, we can allow more of our experience to be there. So there's things sometimes, if we meditate with too much focus, there's things in our experience we don't notice. We sort of shut them out. And having the focal point there stops us getting kind of lost. The sort of the base of the cone can kind of spread out. So having the focal point acts as a kind of anchor. And actually, you need breadth and focus there. If either breadth or focus go, then awareness goes. So it's a really good way of checking whether you're aware in the meditation practice. So I'll lead us into this so you get a sense of, in your own experience, what I'm talking about, but I'm just giving you the sort of the outline. And I'm aware that some of you might appreciate a kind of run through the mindfulness of breathing, the structure of the mindfulness of breathing. So I'll do that as well. But you don't need to remember any of this because I'll lead us fully in the meditation. So with the mindfulness of breathing, we'll start in the body, and then we'll be placing our awareness in the breath. And then when we're there, in the first stage, that's a 4-stage practice. In the first stage, we stay with the breath, in breath, out breath, and then we place a count after the out breath. So in, out, count 1, in, out, count 2. If you make it to 10, great, come back to 1. If you make it to 1 and then you get distracted, just come back to 1, it's fine. Counting is not that important, but you're placing the count after the out breath. So that's the first stage. Second stage, you use the counting as well, but you place the count before the in breath. So you count 1, breathe in, breathe out, count 2, breathe in, breathe out. Sounds the same, but explore it in your experience. It has a subtle difference. So that's the second stage. Stage 3, the third stage, we drop the counting and we stay with breath and focus. So we're in the body, lightly resting our awareness in the breath. Stay with the whole of the breath. So in breath, out breath, experiencing that in the body. And then in the fourth stage, what we do is we start with the base, the body awareness, and then we gradually move our focal point to a detail of where the breath enters and leaves the body. So usually that's if you're breathing through the nose or through the mouth, and we just rest our awareness in those finer, more subtle sensations in the body. Great. And if you get distracted, or when you get distracted, because you will get distracted, don't worry about that. Start again with breath and then come back to focus the breath. So the broad awareness in the body and lightly resting on the breath, and just explore whether that's helpful in your own experience, that model. Okay, has anyone got any questions before we go, before we meditate? No questions by the looks of things. Good. So let's set up for meditation, and we'll meditate for about 25 minutes, something like that. I'll lead us to a short body awareness meditation for a few minutes, and then I'll ring the bells and I'll fully lead the practice. So get yourself set up and make sure you have a good base. Make sure you're in contact with the floor. And rest your hands. You can use a cushion or blanket, or rest your hands on your legs. And just starting to turn inwards. Just take your time to come into meditation. You don't have to rush. So just finding a comfortable posture. Taking your place. Just beginning by allowing our awareness to gather in the felt senses in the body. So noticing where the weight of the body meets your seat. Where the weight of your body meets the floor. So just allowing the meditation to settle down. And if you get distracted at any time, coming back to these felt senses, the actual experience in the body. So just allowing your awareness to gather in the feet, noticing those sensations in the legs. And coming up to your seat and your hands. Just noticing the quality of sensation in the body. So we're gathering together a broad base of awareness. And within this broad base of awareness, finding our way to the breath. So just noticing sensations of breathing and the gentle movement in the body. So it might be in the belly or in the chest. Lightly resting your awareness in that focal point. And if you lose the broad base, or if you lose focus, then awareness goes. So you can just re-establish that at any time during the meditation. So in the first stage of the mindfulness of breathing, staying with the breath, in breath, out breath. And then at the end of the out breath, lightly placing a count. So breathe in, breathe out, count 1. Breathe in, breathe out, counting 2. And just allowing the breath to be natural. Following the breath, allowing the breath to naturally quieten. And you could perhaps explore how much awareness you're placing on the breath and how much you can rest back into the broad base of the body. So on the bell for the second stage, just checking we've got a broad base of body awareness and lightly resting some awareness in the focus of the breath, sensations of breathing, and the movement of the body. And then we place the count before the in-breath. So counting 1, breathing in, breathing out. Counting 2, breathing in, breathing out. And not trying to control the breath, just allow the breath to be natural. And if you notice your mind running off, if you're getting distracted, step back into the body. And then you can re-engage with the meditation. So in the third stage, drop the counting. Seeing if we can broaden our awareness into the whole of the body, and then lightly resting our awareness in the sensations of breathing, the whole of the in-breath and the whole of the out-breath. And when you've got breadth and focus in the practice, then awareness is present. So in the fourth stage, starting with a broad awareness, the sensations of the body, and then we'll gradually move to a more subtle point of focus where the breath enters and leaves the body. So making your effort more subtle. Looking for these more subtle sensations. And you can explore what's helpful for you right now, whether moving towards the focal point or moving back into broader awareness. And see if you can find some pleasure in the sensations in the body and the sensations of breathing. And now for a few moments, see what happens when you relax your effort. So completely relax any effort you've been making. And then in a few moments, I'll ring a bell to end the meditation. And you can bring the practice to a close in your own time. So that was the 4-stage mindfulness of breathing. We applied the breath and focus sort of theme that I introduced. So we've got not very long. We've got about 5 minutes or so before the tea break, but it's a chance just to, if anybody has any questions, you can ask those now. And yeah, also if I'd just be interested to know how you got on, whether you could get hold of that breath and focus in this meditation. Did everybody get hold of that? A few nods. Anyone care to share what happened?
It felt a lot less a lot less dry a practice than with the broadness, and more sustainable.
Right. Okay.
Less effort because
Interesting.
of the broadness, I think.
Okay, so that was particularly bringing in the breadth
Yeah.
into the practice, was it?
Yes, it felt less effort.
Yeah, less effort. Interesting. Yeah, good. So did you feel you got on sort of a bit better with the practice, a bit more concentrated?
Different.
Yeah,
Different.
yeah. Good. Enjoyed it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Very good. Yeah. Anyone else sort of spark anything for anyone else? Have people used this before? I know I've introduced this to people before. Does anyone sort of do this regularly in their practice?
For me, then I found it easier to get distracted when I didn't try to focus so hard.
Okay.
Then I didn't know where the 80% goes, 20% is on the breath.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So you were finding that taking effort off the breath was actually just getting you distracted, was it?
Yeah, I don't know where to put the rest.
Okay. Yeah. What about the body? Were you sort of resting in the body awareness as well?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
so it was escaping.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, it might be that that's what your mind needs to do for a while. You know, we can be very sometimes be very tight in meditation. That can be unhelpful. We're used to making quite a lot of effort actually, and the effort in meditation we need to use is a bit more relaxed. And so it's good not to force the mind. But one way of using this breadth and focus is we can explore actually where we sort of sit. So that's sort of 20%, 80%. You could explore whether actually leaning into the focal point a bit more gets you more concentrated, and then exploring sort of coming back into the body more and keeping sort of more awareness in a broader awareness. That's one way to sort of take this little kind of tool forward. You could explore that in your meditation. Yeah, and it may be that actually using a bit more effort in the focus of the breath is supporting your practice. Yeah, so you could give that a try. Yeah. Yeah.
Like when you're talking about the broad and the focused awareness, I'm guessing you're not talking about like scanning around 20% of the time on the breath and then 8% on the body. It's like a simultaneous awareness.
Yeah.
And I actually find that quite difficult.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it is a challenge, but I think again, it might just be worth just exploring it. And I think if you've got too much focus on the breath, if you're too narrow, you can actually miss other things happening in the meditation practice. But I mean, it may be that in the first stage and second stage, you need to use more focus just to stay sort of on the ball, as it were. But actually, as your mind settles, we want to be sort of leading ourselves into a broader awareness and noticing sort of our, what's happening in our sort of emotions, for example, or other sensations in the body, because in meditation things can come up that need attending to. So yeah, so again, I'd say probably just sort of explore the sort of balance, as it were. And if you are just getting completely lost, there's a keeping more in on the breath, perhaps. Does that I'm not sure it directly completely addresses your your sort of point. You were also saying that you found it sort of, I can't remember the word you used. You say complicated or difficult? Yeah.
Maintain that.
To maintain it, yeah.
Awareness.
Right.
Things at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, one really simple thing to do is, you're sort of resting into the sort of sensations of the breath, but then you can then find the way that moves the body. So then that's already broadening into sort of body awareness. So it may be sort of using something like that, and then sort of broadening into a sort of firmer base. Yeah, it's interesting because I've heard it the other way around, where actually people need the sort of solid base first, and they can establish that, and then they can go to the breath. But I think one can lead to the other. So either the breath can lead to the focus, or it may be that it's the other way around. You actually need the focal point, and that leads into the breath, actually. So I think we can be sort of different types in a way as well. Yeah.
I found it more difficult to focus on breath and focus when I was counting at the same time.
Okay.
So it was the two first phases, but when I stopped counting, it was easier to focus on breath and focus.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, potentially a lot sort of going on. So how did you resolve that in the first and second stages?
Yeah, well, probably didn't resolve it very well. I was focused on then counting, and then I kind of on the third phase, kind of moved to focusing on breath and focus.
Yeah.
In the first two phases, it kind of felt like I'm trying to do two things at the same time.
Sure. Yeah.
And I guess I'm not good at multitasking.
Yeah. we're going to explore, I think we're going to explore the counting a bit more as we go on. And yeah, I mean, one thing just to say to the, you know, just to sort of respond in a way is that the counting is not that important and it's there as a support. So, I mean, I use it to mark when I'm aware. If I'm aware, I count and I lightly place the count, but I keep most of my awareness in the body and the breath. Yeah, but we'll explore the counting a bit more as we go. Yeah, great, very good. All right, thanks, guys. So actually, it's time for tea now. So let's go and have tea break, and we'll come back in about 20-25 minutes, something like that.
There was someone there, but I'm not sure if he's coming back or not. We could hover and see. He might not come back. Yeah.
Space just there.
Has that person gone?
Is there no space? Two spaces.
Oh, right, right. I think so, yeah.
That was very enough. Just.
That's great. Oh, right. Is that everyone after City, do you know? Or are there still some people? It's everyone. Oh, good. So has everybody actually got a space? That's lovely. So welcome back, everyone. My name's Sangajata. And I'll be sort of leading us through this second session. I just want to check, is everybody okay? Yeah? Yeah. You sure? That's great. That's great. Because we're starting off, aren't we, on this challenge, and it can be a bit daunting, can't it? Getting all these sort of spaces organized and the time in your life organized, and just starting off. So there's a lot to think about and a lot to do. And we've got a lovely combination here tonight, haven't we, of people who are just coming and just starting this off. Some people who are really regular meditators and can do it wonderfully. And some people who are still having that go, still giving it a go to try and get that regular time. And that's fine. That's fine. That's what it's about, us all trying to get working with our awareness of what's going on for us and where we're going. Okay, so in this second half, I'll just sort of, having checked you're okay, just check if there's any sort of questions or anything left over before we start. Anybody sitting with any burning questions, or did you manage to have a chat in the break? Yeah. Good. Well, there'll be a time for questions later as well. So I'm going to talk about a little bit in a minute about a certain aspect of the mindfulness of breathing. And then we're going to actually try and have a go at doing it again. So 2 meditations in one night. This would be a good kickstart to your week. Great. So the aspect I'm going to talk about really is counting. So counting's introduced to you right at the beginning. Sometimes people decide to drop the counting, which is fine, it's your choice. Sometimes sort of people play around with the counting, but actually the counting's really important in its own right, and I'll say a little bit more about that. But first I wanted to say a little bit about the Buddha, because the Buddha, when he was talking about awareness and mindfulness, he knew it was revolutionary, and he taught the people that he came to teach, he taught them something along the lines of the Satipatthana Sutta, which is a sort of a huge awareness meditation with 4 big stages. And then I think we've talked about this before, where in the when was it? Let's just check. In the 5th century, somebody called Buddhaghosa came along and thought, well, actually, we need a bit of help with this. You know, the Buddha's and his disciples are really good at being able to be mindful and aware, particularly of their bodies to start with, and their feelings, thoughts, etc. But we need a little bit of help. So let's perhaps use a bit of imagination, a bit of inspiration, something a bit different to help. So he introduced the counting. And there's a bit from a commentary that he wrote in this lovely book by a meditation teacher called Kamalashila. But I just wanted you to sort of relax a little bit and listen to this. There's some little old-fashioned words in it, but it's his way of saying, sort of let's take a look at what's going on around here and see why counting and things are important. So it says a beginner should first give attention to this meditation subject, that is the breath, by counting. When counting, he should at first do it slowly, that is late, as a grain measurer does. As he does his counting in this way, the in-breaths and out-breaths become evident to him as they enter in and issue out. Then he can leave off counting slowly, that is late, like a grain measurer. And he can count quickly, that is early, as a cowherd does. For a skilled cowherd takes pebbles in his pocket and goes to the cow pen in the morning. Sitting on the bar of the gate, prodding the cows in the back, he counts each one as it reaches the gate, saying 1, 2, dropping a pebble for each. And the cows of the herd, which have been spending the 3 watches of the night uncomfortably in a cramped space, come out quickly in parties, jostling each other as they escape. So he counts quickly, that is saying 3, 4, 5, and so on up to 10. For as long as the meditation subject is connected with counting, it is with the help of that very counting that the mind becomes unified, just as a boat in a swift current is steadied with the help of a rudder. So the cowherd was concentrating on the cows, and the object could be anything, but we focus on the breath. This is what the breath is for. And we've heard a little bit as well about how the breath is linked with emotions and thoughts. And I think we all know that, don't we? That if we're a bit anxious, our breathing's quite fast, high up. If we're sleepy and relaxed, it's low and methodical. And if we have thoughts, sometimes we can get sort of deep breathing in different places. So we're getting to know our body sensations and sensations of breathing. And these sensations also are linked with counting. So as we get the sensation of breathing out, then we're linking that with the counting. So this helps and trains our mind as we notice and get the sensation of breathing in, then we count with that. And we notice that with our minds. But we feel it in our body. Our whole bodies when you really sort of take a magnifying glass to it, when you breathe out, your body is quite a different state to when you breathe in. And yet most of the time we're wandering about not noticing that at all. So now we're really honing our concentration and our awareness of what's actually going on for us in our bodies, in our emotions, in our mind, with our breath. And the counting will help us do that, helps us stay there. And of course, as human beings, we'll get distractions. Distractions will come, and we can go back to the breathing. And we can always, as Shibanaga said, go back to the body. And we can get that breadth of body, or we can get that simple fascination of watching the breath. If our mind wanders, particularly in the third stage, I think we've got really concentrated. Sometimes we can hold that. And sometimes because our mind isn't having to count, it thinks it can go off somewhere. But we could just follow the breath as it goes down into the lungs, the diaphragm moves, certain parts of the body moves, the feeling's quite different as the air gets pumped into our bodies. So when you get distracted, try and come back to that whole awareness, that sensation, that sort of awe and wonder of actually what's going on for us. And actually it's going on every second, but we're just delighting in it in this practice. And sometimes we can get a little bit serious, can't we? We can get a bit, to do this, I've got to follow the breath, and get a sort of heaviness with it. I know when I first started, when I very, very first started, I just delighted in the whole thing, thought it was wonderful. And then I started to feel I had to do it and I had to follow the breath. And I started to get, really, it felt a bit chore-like, to have to follow the breath. But we're holding all this, as Shibanaga said, with a lightness. But also, again, we can use our imagination and see if we can sort of give the breath its own, if we can have its own, not its own qualities, it has these qualities, but if we can have a relationship with this breath, this breath is keeping us alive. So we're having, it's very intimate. It's a very intimate thing that's happening. And very often, as I say, we're not aware of this. And I've often felt that there's, for me, there's a lot of awe and wonder about the fact that we breathe at all, and the fact that it's just like that, isn't it? Like that we breathe, like that we don't breathe. And yet, with the magnitude of this and the wonder, we don't take any notice of it most of the time. And I've read lots of different descriptions about how people describe that and what qualities of breath and what the breath might mean to them. But I was reading Kamala Sheila's book today, and I just found this most wonderful description, and I wanted to share it with you. So Kamala Sheila says the breath is especially good as an object of meditation because it can engage our interest deeply whilst allowing a certain flexibility. This flexibility of mind is quite important, for if our attention is allowed to become stiff and wooden, we will lose our energy and inspiration. Breathing is inherently interesting. It is a very tangible sensation with a certain rhythm and a soft, sensuous quality that is naturally enjoyable and engaging. Breath is also rather mysterious It is the breath of life, something all creatures depend on in each moment for their existence. So that was his description, and I encourage you to find your own about what it means to you as you're doing the mindfulness of breathing. So we'll have a go and we'll do it again in a minute. Are there any questions about what I've said or any thoughts about the counting or anything one wants to sort of bring up? You certainly can, yes. Do you need your blanket? Or,
No, I'll just grab it.
okay. Yeah. Oh, I see. I thought you were changing spaces. Okay. Any questions? How do you feel about doing the mindfulness of breathing again? Okay. I'm not sure. Let's give it a go. Okay. So let's just sort of sit and arrive and allow words to settle. Get a sense of our whole body, our whole selves. So by our whole selves, I mean our body, our emotions, our thoughts, and allow all that's there to be accepted and just settle as part of the meditation. So this is your experience at the moment. You're a living, breathing, embodied being. And now taking our attention to our breath, begin to notice the out breath. As you breathe out, count 1 up to 10 and start again. As we change our focus to when we begin to breathe in, also notice what's happening in your body. What are the subtle differences? As you count 1, breathe in, breathe out, up to 10. Keep the counting soft and allow the counting to follow your breath. So letting go of the counting now and just keeping an interest in that very tangible sensation that is the breath going in and out of your body with its own unique rhythm. Noticing the quality of your breath and engaging with your breath. This natural rhythmic process. We're taking our focus now to where the air enters our body, tips of our nostrils. Where it changes from air into the breath of life. Noticing, having an awareness of everything that's happening in your body, the changes as you sense the air touching the ends of your nostrils, the top of your lip. So just let go of focus now, let go of concentration, and just rest in your body, in your experience, just as it is in this moment. And I'll ring a bell at the end. Hey, how do people get on? Anything they'd like to share? Or any questions? Anything different this time?
For me, I think there's definitely an element on the second time round of being able to go deeper on the second time round in comparison to the first half. So it's definitely something that came up for me. There was definitely a different tone to the meditation.
Ah, yes. So something about doing it regularly and again, yes, which is of course what we're trying to do when we're setting up our practice, isn't it? That even if we do it once a day, it's regular and we do it the next day. Finding that, yeah, great. They all seem a little bit tired. I'm not surprised. Okay. Well, I'll sort of just say some rounding off points then for us now. So we've learned about depth and breadth, and we've learned a little bit more about counting. That gets a bit tedious. Use your imagination. Use those little pebbles when you're counting, and have a real sense of the quality and the uniqueness of your breath for you. And also, I would just say, those of you, don't worry if any of this content, you've had a lot tonight, is still sinking in. It can take time. Some of us have been meditating for many, many years. And, still, each time we you know, we learn something new or something else goes down into a different layer. So you can watch the video of this class. Maria's very kindly been videoing it for us, and that will be sent out to you sometime tomorrow. So you'll have a bit of a reminder there of what we've talked about. Okay. So just remember if you can as well. So this is remembering to remember. Yeah, just to get on those cushions. Just notice yourself remembering to get on those cushions and keep getting on those cushions every day. And if that doesn't happen, well, notice that. Well, wow, you know, how come I keep saying I'm going to get on those cushions and I don't? So notice that and notice that, you know, perhaps I don't think about the conditions that stopped you getting on the cushions, and then have another go. Try again and again and again. There is no failing, there's only noticing. So we're noticing what's happening and we're aware of our intention, and we're trying to get all these things matched up so they work. Okay. Yeah, so you can try again. Yeah, so everything, all these things you're doing, and particularly, you know, as you're training your minds, as we're training our minds, we're training ourselves to become more aware, you know, and awareness is revolutionary, as we said. There'll be things that you notice about yourself and your breath that you didn't notice before. So enjoy the week. Have a good week. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.